He'd spent hours moving into the apartment directly above hers. He was her new neighbor. What did he think she wanted? It didn't matter. An instant on the receiving end of this guy's humorless glower was enough to know he wasn't going to be another swell addition to her group of friends. Not a problem, but for the sake of civility and because she was actually standing there, baked bounty in hand, she pushed into place an imitation of the smile that had been genuine when she'd started, and tried again. Sorry to interrupt. I stopped up to say, "Hey, neighbor," she offered, adding one of those cheesy half-circle waves that smacked of a classic Karate Kid wax on. Tyler, right? Yeah. Okay, so I'm friends with Ford, our landlord, and he asked me to swing by. I live down in apartment 2. The girl next door, he bit out, eyes pinching closed in what looked suspiciously like a plea for patience. Though it couldn't have been even a full minute since she'd first darkened his doorstep, so seriously, what was with the attitude? Sure, she'd been looking, but the door was open, and he'd been the one stripping in front of it. Okay, or, girl downstairs, technically, but either way. His jaw twitched. Christ, I don't need this. Maggie's wide-eyed stare shifted from the 6-foot-plus stretch of hard-cut stubble ruff and overtly hostile male braced against the doorframe, down to the seemingly benign plate of cookies, and back. Was she missing something? Only then the guy raked a hand through the damp mess of his hair and blew out a strained breath. Look, apartment 2, whatever you're offering, I'm not interested. No way. Whatever I'm offering? The hard slant of his mouth and pointed jut of his chin were as much as he had to say on the subject, more than enough to make his meaning clear. Her mouth gaped as disbelief and outrage kicked off a turf war deep within her chest. Did this knuckle-dragger actually think he... And worse, was he suggesting she... Not in this lifetime, bub. Fine. The guy wasn't an eyesore. He had a built-tough body going on with all the hard-packed high-definition to boot. But so very special, so irresistible, Maggie figured her best bet for getting a jump on the competition was to make her move with cookies at 9 on a Sunday morning. And to think, she'd felt bad for him lugging all his crap up the 3 flights on his own. But, yeah, didn't that make perfect sense now? What a dick. So, we're clear. The only thing on offer here, apartment 3. Maggie tucked the milk into the crook of her elbow and folded the plastic wrap back from the plate, infusing the air around them with the pure essence of melted chocolate, toasted oats, and the rich, buttery goodness of a family recipe so sacred only 3 people in the world knew it. Helpless under the aromatic assault, his eyes went briefly unfocused before dropping to the cookies. Selecting the biggest one, Maggie lifted it to her mouth and bit, chewing with deliberate relish before cracking the lid on the milk and taking a long, slow swallow. Satisfied when the muscles of the guy's throat worked up and down, she recovered the plate. Is my suggestion you look over your rental agreement regarding noise pollution and turn your music down. Or at least close your... The door swung shut in her face. Unbelievable. But at least she didn't need to waste another breath on the jerk. He actually called you apartment 2? Ava Myers, Maggie's best friend and fellow abstainer in all things relationship, shook her head, her mahogany shag catching in the light breeze and blowing around her face. They were settled in on their favorite bench with the usual...